Good morning, Safety Council. I hope everyone is doing well this morning. So far in downtown Zanesville, it's not raining, so we're enjoying that. So we welcome everyone to Safety Council. As previously mentioned, all of our meetings for this fiscal year will be virtual. The steering committee is working hard to come up with different things to add to Safety Council to keep it interesting. Today we'll have a featured speaker, then a follow-up presentation. So do not leave us after Assistant Chief Hobson speaks. Did want to make sure that everyone, if anyone is not receiving our meeting notices, please let Lydia Phillips know. Can't reach Lydia, please let me know. Starting next week, the meeting notices, it'll have a recurring notice, meaning whatever the link is you get next week, you'll be able to use every week for the rest of the fiscal year. That is our goal for you. Something that the Safety Council local steering committee has suggested, and we're going to ask you to help us do, is best practices for safety. So if there's something that you're doing neat for safety at your business, please let us know. We would like to share it with our members. And if you're willing to have your face and voice heard, we'll have you do the presentation. If you're not, please forward it to myself or Lydia, and we will share it with our members. And at this time, if you give me a second to find Rhonda on my screen, we will bring Rhonda in. There is Rhonda. I'm going to unmute Rhonda.
Hi.
How are you, Rhonda? And
good. How are you all?
doing well, doing well.
Good.
And we're going to switch the host to you so you can share your screen.
Great. Thank you.
There you go. You are now our host.
Okay. Let me get my screen. All right. Can you see that?
We're still
BWC update.
I am waiting for it to switch over.
Okay.
Go ahead and pull it up, and if it doesn't switch over, I'll go back to our host and we will listen to you if that's okay.
Okay.
I do not see
I had it pulled up. It did switch over?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Let me give me a minute here. Let me see. Let me try sharing on my end. Oh, give me 1 second. Let me see if this will work.
There you go.
How about now?
You're up.
All right. Awesome. Let me pull this into slideshow. And I think I have to change my display settings. And everybody, I apologize. This is a new format for me too. But first I want to say, I like the rain right now. I was wishing for some rain. I was really glad we got some rain last night. I live on a farm, and so the water is getting a little bit low for my cattle. All right, hi everyone. Good morning. I hope everyone is doing well, and I really miss interacting with everybody and seeing you all in the morning, but I'm just really glad we can still get together and share some information. I did want to just go through some stuff with you guys with BWC on some updates, and then also some safety and hygiene updates. And there's my contact information on this screen, and also at the end I'll put my contact information too. So please feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. Even if it's not on ergonomics, I will at least get you to the right person. And just want to make sure we all still stay connected. So first of all, I'm sure you probably maybe have heard about this. Just recently, there is a proposal for a $1.5 billion dividend that will be going back to employers. So just want to make sure you realize that the board has not voted on this yet. They'll be voting on this on September 25th. And if it goes through, Then there will be, the dividends will be going out probably starting sometime October, November timeframe. And this will be about 100% of your premium will be going back to you. So if you have any questions about this dividend, you can contact your employer rep, it's your employer service specialist, or your business consultant. For our area, that's Scott St. Clair is the business consultant, and Lisa Hannes is the employer rep. But if you don't have their information, please feel free to reach out to me and I'll get that for you. Also, the board did approve some additional funding for additional face masks, so those will be going back out to employers also. And then something else that they just recently approved was a rate cut for public employers, and this will be for the upcoming policy year for public employers. Public employers are on a calendar year, where private employers are on a fiscal year. So public employers will start a new policy year on January 1st, 2021. What this will be is it'll be approximately an average of a 10% premium reduction for public employers. So I just want to make sure everyone is aware of those updates with that. Also, if you haven't seen, we just recently updated our website. The address is still the same, so it's still bwc.state.ohio.gov. But what it is, it's a little bit easier to navigate, and also it was is real similar to other state agencies' websites. In this top-hand corner too, you'll notice there's a link to the ohio.gov, and if you press on that drop-down arrow, you'll be able to get to other state agencies' websites just from there. But the main section that you all will use is right here at the top of this banner. There's a tab for employers, and you want to click there. When you click on that, it's going to bring you up to a page that looks similar to this. And then all your menu options will be on this left-hand side. And so I'm going to show you, for example, if you want to click on your workers' compensation coverage, this is the menu that it'll bring up. And this will be about how to get coverage, what type of coverages that you have, maintaining your coverage, if you're in with a PEO, any type of programs, ratings that there is, and different types of rates. So if you want to know what your experience modifier rate, sometimes they'll say, what is your EM? This is where you'll click at. If you want to know about what type of programs that you're in or what type of programs are out there, deadlines, applications for those programs, and that will be all under programs, ratings, and bonus. So I just wanted to kind of give you an overview of what the website looks like. All my links still work that I had saved for favorites. So I just recommend, sometime the next few weeks, try your links, see if they work. And then I would recommend resaving them. So then you have your favorites on your desktop. The next thing is that our in-person training at our training centers have been canceled through December of this year. So we are still teleworking right now. We are not at the offices. And so therefore we don't have in-person training available. But if you do need some training for any of our program credits, for example, like ISSP, you can actually attend 3 hours of online training, which can be 3 different types of sessions, and receive 1 ISSP credit for that. So you go to bwclearningcenter.com, and this is where you can find all the online training and different types of where you can register, and also you can also find our webinars at that website too. And speaking of webinars, we are offering a lot of webinars now. So we have BWC, actually the employer side is offering webinars, and our safety and hygiene side of the house is offering webinars. So what we have coming up is on August 27th is an employer webinar. And that is going to be going over updates with COVID, the annual true-up report, premium reduction strategies, any type of important dates and safety tips coming up. And then September 1st will be a temporary worker webinar, and that's going to be going over their safety and health issues for staffing companies. September 2nd, we have a policy activity rate rebate webinar. That's called our PAR program. And that's a rebate that's available to employers. So you can, if you want to find out more information about that, or you can look on our website and see if that might be something you're interested in. September 8th is actually a replay of how to safely manage contractors at your facility. September 10th is for the public employers. That's purpose for our public employers, and it's really going to be what's called the Focus 4 inspections. September 15th will be avoiding HAZCOM program mistakes. September 22nd is actually not going to be conducted by a BWC safety and health consultant. It's going to be from the fire marshal's office, and they're going to be looking at real fire hazards in your workplace. And then lastly, for September, will be cold stress, hot stress. Really just kind of focusing on, you know, since we live in our area in Ohio, all of Ohio, we get to experience both heat stress and cold stress. And it's always ever changing, it seems like. So we're going to have a webinar about that and how to deal with both of those issues. There is some upcoming deadlines coming up I want to make sure you're aware of. First of all, this is for private employers. Now this has already passed. This was due on August 15th, and this was called your payroll true-up report. And this is for the previous policy year where you report your actual payroll from July 1st of 2019 to June 30th of 2020. I want to definitely emphasize, if you have not done this, you need to go online and complete this true-up report. Especially with this billion back, if that goes through, you're going to have to make sure your true-up is in place before you'll be eligible for that rebate. And if you have any questions with it or you need some assistance, please contact your employer service specialist. That's Lisa Hannes, or you can contact me and I'll get you her contact info. Also, August 30th, if you're in the drug-free safety program at the advanced level, you will have the Safety Action Plan, which is called the DFSP-5. That is due on August 30th. So if you're in the advanced level drug-free program, you have to have your Safety Action Plan in by August 30th. And again, that's done online. And you can find that through that menu I showed you. Or if you need some assistance, please just feel free to give me or Lisa a call. For public employers, you have some deadlines coming up too, and this is all going to be on September 30th, so the end of next month. If you're in the drug-free program, your annual report is due. If you're in the One Claim program or the EMCAP program, your education requirements are due. And again, your employer service specialist, who is Lisa Hannes, takes care of with programs and program deadlines. So any questions, again, she'll be able to help you out. Just a few things on safety I want to make sure people are aware of. A lot of businesses, it could be even some schools and things, there's a lot of emphasis to, if you're doing any type of gatherings or things are going on where you've got a meeting of people, there's more of that happening outside and people are doing it under tents. So NFPA, who is the National Fire Protection Association, recently released a new fact sheet, and it goes over the building and life safety codes for tents. So just making sure that when these are going up, that you're thinking about what your egress is, how many people can you have in the tent, so occupancy levels, where they're placed at. Also, another important thing is the fabrics that they're made of, the flammability of those fabrics. So it's not something people probably really thought about when they were putting them up. So they do have some guidance out there on that. That's important to share that. The other thing too, a lot of people are asking about is OSHA. So OSHA has a COVID-19 page. It's under their safety and health topics. I just screenshot this for you just so you can kind of see there's a lot going on this page. So it just has overviews, any type of updates. You can see there's different types of standards, hazard recognition. But I want to go over here on this right-hand page. This is really where you can find a lot of information if you want some highlights. A lot of things are going on. You'll see about, well, how they're handling complaints and referrals. This seems to be hot topics, recording cases of COVID. So there's information about that. Supply shortages for N95s. How are you getting your fit testing done? things like that. So they have a lot of good guidance out there, a lot of fact sheets out there on OSHA's web page. So I highly recommend that you check that out for private employers. And again, just want to put my contact information up there again, so you can have it. Please feel free either to email me or you can call me or text me at the 614 number. Also, your safety consultant is Caleb Cockerell. He is available to assist you, and you have an industrial hygienist. Her name is Sarah Gezzi, and she is available to assist you. We're all starting to do virtual consultations. We can do phone meetings, video meetings, anything to assist you all with your safety and health needs. So please feel free to reach out to us. Thanks.
Thank you, Rhonda. Sure appreciate that. A lot of good information. We'll go ahead and make our switch here. Great, and we thank you very much, Rhonda, for that thorough presentation. Hope everyone got all that information. Just as a reminder, today's presentations will be shared via email, and we are recording this meeting. We're at 50 participants right now. Again, if you are watching if you have went to another business to watch this meeting, please let us know either by email or the chat. That way we can get an accurate count of how many people are participating. So at this time, Jamie, we'll turn it over to you for the safety tip.
Okay, thanks, Dana. Good morning, everybody at Safety Council. The August safety tip is going to center around electrical safety, and I'll just start with a couple of stats to begin with, and then a few tips on the safety of overhead power lines. So according to the Center for Construction Research and Training, the first stat I want to give you is there was 203 electrocutions that occurred in the construction industry just from 2011 to 2013. So just those 2 years, 203 electrocutions in the construction industry. And the important stat there is almost 3/4, 70% of those 203 electrocutions were individuals who were working who weren't even electricians. So credentialing, licensing, training is obviously important. 2003 to 2018, all fatal work-related electrical injuries that were recorded, more than half of those in that 5-year span occurred in the construction industry. So we know that's a high-risk area. We know that's an area to be focused on. So that's a staggering stat that more than half of those deaths that occurred by electrical injuries in those 5 years occurred inside of that industry alone. Let me give you another stat, and then we'll do a couple of tips here. All of the fatal work-related electrical injuries that were recorded between 2011 and 2017, out of all the fatal work-related electrical injuries in that time period, more than a third, 36% of those involved overhead power lines. So clearly that's an area that safety tip is very important for, is the overhead power line in terms of the risk for electrocution. A couple of key tips when you're talking about overhead power lines, especially for those key industries that work among power lines. And it's interesting because there's a lot of industries that interact with power lines that you don't even think about. I mean, it might be a power washing business. I had a dumpster delivered just the other day. And one of the questions that at one of my offices, one of the questions that the lady asked me on the phone was, you know, when we're bringing this dumpster, it sits up pretty high. Do you have any overhead power lines? And I thought, gosh, I don't know if I would have even thought about that. So it's just a matter, we don't really know what industry this might impact, but be aware that overhead power lines represent over a third of the fatalities. So keeping a safe distance between yourself and the power lines, and it's recommended at least 10 foot at all times. Checking carefully for overhead power lines in the area before beginning to work. Seems like a common sense thing, but again, if you're doing something that you think maybe wouldn't impact an overhead power line, maybe you wouldn't think about that, but take that extra moment to check that anyways. Making sure that tree branches won't fall into power lines if you're in the business of cutting branches down or need to remove trees or cut branches for the work you're doing. Use tape signs and barricades to keep yourself and your equipment, others, a safe distance from overhead power lines. So safety markings are very important. And avoid storing materials under any or around or near any power lines. That protects the equipment and helps people to not have to be going to those locations to retrieve that information to have a particular interaction with the unfortunate interaction with the power line. Keep in mind too that the OSHA standard 1910.332 does list about a dozen occupations where higher risk than normal for electrical accidents occur, and if you're in one of those industries, that there is a mandate that they should be receiving electrical training. So with that, I'll wrap up the safety tip on electrical safety, and I'll take it back to you, Dana, unless you'd like me to introduce Mr. Hobson.
Jamie, go ahead and do the introduction.
Fantastic. All right. We have one of our own with us this morning to talk to us about fire safety in the workplace. Mr. Hobson's the Assistant Fire Chief of Zanesville Fire Department. He's been with the Zanesville Fire Department as a career firefighter for 18 years. He is also the Region 8, which is the region we're in, for emergency planning, hazmat coordinator. Assistant Chief Hobson is also an arson investigator. And I'll note, and I think most of us on here know this already, but Assistant Chief Hobson is also one of our Safety Council steering members. So we're always glad to hear from Doug, and we're excited to hear what you have to tell us this morning, Doug. So with no further ado, I'll turn it over to Assistant Fire Chief Doug Hobson.
All right, Jamie, thank you. I appreciate that. Thanks for the introduction. I hear all the round of applause out there, so I appreciate that greatly. So we'll get started. Yep, I see it right there. Somebody's waving their hands in the air and clapping. Great job. All right, so we'll go to our first slide and get started here. One thing that we want to talk about right now is the exit pathways during this COVID-19 pandemic. As a chief inspector for the fire department, we go out and visit a lot of our businesses, and I know that the businesses have taken an opportunity, looked at their situation of how they're going to get people in and out of their buildings safely. On a fire code standpoint, I know this sounds kind of rough, but I'll say it, we really don't care how you get in any building, but we care how you get out. That's our main point. So I put a couple of slides up here, just representing stores. There are random slides. Prime example, and I'm sorry to use names, but I'm going to, like Walmart on the north end. In and out of one exit. That allows them to be able to keep a count of customers that's going into the store. But know at the other end, if you look at the double doors on the right picture, even though they may be out of service, not being able to be used, all those doors can just be pushed open. I've gone up, I've checked and made sure that if there is an emergency, God forbid, fire, shooter, who knows what, those doors will push open, and they are signed to say that they will go open. So we have visited all of our large box stores just to make sure that people can get out in case of an emergency. Take example, Sam's Club. There are exit doors all the way around the entire building. They will alarm when open, but there are exits. So use this in your workplace, use this in when you're going home, when you're out with your family. Keep in mind, try to always know two ways out. If you go to a restaurant tonight, maybe teach your young children, hey, looking for two ways out of the building in case something should happen. So any business out there that would need our help, working through the command center, the health department, get a hold of Dana or Lydia. I would be more than happy to work with you on exits. We don't ever want to shut exits off, but we can redirect. So if you need guidance, please don't hesitate to give us a call. All right, next slide, please. Sorry, Dana brought me a little drink, so I figured I had to drink it. Exit signs and lighting. This is important for every business. Yesterday, a strong storm came through. Myself at my house, we were out of power. So think about if you're in the middle of, we'll say Walmart again, and the power goes out. These exit lights are going to be very important to you and your family, you and your employees to get out of your facility properly and safely. So once a month, these exit lights these emergency lights should always be checked. There's a button on them unless you have a generator backup, they come on automatically. But if you look at the light on the left-hand side, you'll see a small little button there. You push that once a month when you're checking your fire extinguishers and make sure that those emergency lights come on. Yep, that's it right there. And then also, she can go to the middle exit sign, and if you see the arrow on the left, we call that a directional exit sign. So make sure that if you are following an exit, that directional arrow takes you to the exit. Those are little punch outs, so they can be punched out to go to either right, left, or straight ahead. So make sure that we're getting our directionals in the right area. The exit sign on the left actually has the emergency lights on it. So these are battery backup. You don't know when they're going to go bad. That's why I ask on a monthly basis when an employee is checking your fire extinguishers, they go ahead and check your emergency lighting at the same time. All right, electrical safety. And I know everybody can't raise their hand like we normally do in the room, but I'm sure somewhere out of these 50 people that's on board, someone may have something that looks like this, either underneath their desk. Somewhere you've seen this. This is called, well, we'll not only call this an overload, but we'll call this a fire hazard. We have seen this many of times. You take two outlets that may be a 20 amp outlet, and you can tell there's multiple extension cords and a way overload on that. So please remember, it's just two outlets. Let's try not to overload those, and extension cords cannot be used as permanent wiring in any commercial structure. So on the next slide, you will see and I'm pointing to it like you guys can see that, but on the left, you will see the surge protector. So that is our recommendation for the fire code. That is acceptable. The only thing you cannot do is you cannot piggyback surge protectors. So you can't put one surge, plug it into a surge, because we need to go 10 feet and we have two 5-foot surge protectors. So you can get those in multiple lengths at the stores, or you can get the ones that you can actually put your own cord on if you need a 20-foot surge protector. So electrical cords, again, you can see the bottom cord we call a zip cord. Not going into much detail, but recently, within the last 10 days, we had a fire in our area, I will say, and they lost the structure due to a zip cord. There was a lamp, a fan, a laptop, and a TV plugged into it. And the laptop actually had a cord that had electrical tape on it, and the structure is no longer standing. So guys, keep in mind, you take two outlets, you plug a zip strip or a zip cord into it, which is the bottom brown cord. You're adding 4 more things into that object, and that cord is the size of a lamp cord. So keep that in mind. Now, when you see the cord on the right, the round or the all balled up orange extension cord, that's most generally the problem. When you see it balled up like that, because someone brings in a 100-foot cord and they need to go 10 feet. So, and then what do we see? We get resistance heating out of that extension cord. If you are using any extension cords in your home and your business for temporary, please inspect them. They tend to get nicks in them. If they do get a nick in them, please don't try to fix them, electrical tape them, and still put them back in service. They're not that expensive. A life can't be replaced. So please stick to surge protectors in all of your commercial applications. Electrical safety again, look at breaker boxes. That's one of the big things we look for in our inspections. Imagine an employee walking in and have to shut a breaker off. And I know some businesses actually shut breakers off at night to shut out signs, whatever it may be that they need to shut off for the night. And you have an open space. We're talking about electrocution, just like Jamie talked about a little bit ago. And then open circuit boxes on the left-hand side. You can see the center wire is starting to show, the coating is pulled back on the center wire. So we're going to start to get some, possible damage there. And plus the top of the actual box is pulled away. So as you're doing your inspections throughout your businesses, please keep this in mind. On the circuit breaker, just get a blanket and put it in there and it's a done deal. Keeps everybody safe. Space heaters. Well, the name is in the title there. What do they need? They need space. Last year I went to one business, won't say any names, but we pulled 13 space heaters out of this commercial property underneath desks because they were either plugged into an extension cord, they were plugged into a surge protector, or, well, a couple more things. They had no space and they were not tip over protected. So to be in a workspace, they have to be plugged directly into the wall. They have to have plenty of space and they have to be tip over protected. So please look at those. People love to bring those in the winter. Dana's looking around right now. So we're getting ready to haul his heater out of here because I can see it's out of code. Just kidding, Dana. So please, I went to one facility. Again, I don't like to say names, but they had almost a 2-foot tall space heater underneath the desk, and the top of the space heater was wedged against the bottom of the desk with boxes of paper and reports underneath their desk. Not a good idea. All right, next. Fire extinguishers. I've talked a good bit about these through Safety Council. When you stop and ask one of your employees, use this as a quiz. Where's a fire extinguisher? Every employee ought to be able to tell you where the fire extinguisher is. In case of emergency, grab me a fire extinguisher. Are they behind a box, a sealed door? Are they in a cage? Are they hung on the wall? Where is the closest fire extinguisher to any point that you are at in your facility? Don't forget on your fire extinguishers, those need to be checked monthly by an employee. If you don't know what they're looking for or what that inspection consists of, please don't hesitate to call. Dana can get you my contact information, and then they need to be checked by an outside company yearly. When we talk about fire extinguishers, we use the acronym PASS: pull, aim, squeeze, and sweep. Trust me, this works. We also have a program at the Zanesville Fire Department. If you're within the city, call us. We'll come out. We'll bring a burn pan. You supply a little bit of diesel and a couple extra fire extinguishers, and we'll have a class on them. So please know where your fire extinguishers are. Make sure they're in operation. Make sure that they've been checked. And remember to use the acronym PASS: pull, aim, squeeze, and sweep. Trips and falls. You can see the little guy there on the left might be carrying a little too much, and he's about to have probably a rake candle right to the forehead. So make sure that if we have, if you're out in your facility and you have lines running across or a construction work going on, make sure that we're identifying these trip hazards. Maybe that if you have a morning meeting with your employees, identify any trip hazards that may be out there for the day. Signage. I know that there is one facility here in town that you are not allowed to use your cell phone and texting while on the property, even if you're walking to your car. So I'm not saying anything about that. I'm just saying, be careful of the trip hazards. Concrete tends to rise. There may be trip hazards within your facility. You may have rugs in your office buildings. So trips and falls, please be careful with those, whether it be a wet floor. Again, somebody mopping, make sure we put the wet signs out. Just keep in mind of trip hazards. Ceiling space, a lot of people do not know this. This is one of the things that we're really hitting hard with the schools right now. We're trying to get, well, we have done all the city schools inspections, and it's the ceiling space, 18 inches versus 24 inches. So if you have a sprinkler, which is on the left, then in that room on the shelving that you see on the right, you're allowed to have 18 inches from the ceiling to the first product. Now, if you have no sprinkler, that space is 24 inches. So please keep that in mind. When we get into some of these back rooms of retail stores, again, no names mentioned, that is a big deal. Whether you're sprinklered or not sprinklered, keeping that combustible material away from the ceiling, allowing it to spread into the roof system, and then unfortunately that goes to collapse. So 18, 24, 18 if you're sprinklered, 24 if you're not. Chemical storage. I've also spoke about this at Safety Council. Think about where your chemicals are, how you're storing those to keep your employees safe. It may be just spray paint. It may be some ethyl methyl product that we don't know about. So please keep in mind, if they're highly flammable, those cabinets are out there, and make sure that they're marked. Make sure that they, outside of a caged area, make sure that there's signage on it. Think about the way that we can try to describe this. Think about it the worst time, the worst case scenario. Building is full of smoke. We got to know where these chemicals are. So please mark everything. Let your employees know where everything is. Store it properly inside of a fire box if need be, or inside of a cage. Again, well marked. I think that's about it. I know that I don't know that I've spoke for a half hour, but again, thank you on behalf of the Zanesville Fire Department. We want everybody to remain safe out there. And it's kind of became a thing with me with our food drives that we've been having is and in all my emails is, you know, is we is greater than me. So all of us working together to keep all of our employees, all of our establishments safe. It just all works out in the end. You know, at the Zanesville Fire Department, we have a motto is everybody goes home. We all have families at home. So I would hope that for all of you as business owners and employees and employers, please, everybody go home safely. Any questions? Put them in the chat and Dana I'll be sitting right here to respond to anything that you have. Knox boxes, Dana just brought that up. Knox boxes are required by an ordinance in the city of Zanesville if you have a monitored sprinkler system or a monitored fire alarm. But keep in mind, even if you don't have those, if you have a Knox box on the front of your building, which contains the keys to your front door, is when I tell the guys that we need to get in the building, they don't hesitate to go through a glass door. So please, if you have a building that you need us to get into, possibly a fire alarm in the middle of the night, that it's a system that's not monitored, you can get on knoxbox.com, reference the Zanesville Fire Department. It'll come to you. You can put the Knox box on. We'll come and open it up. You'll put your keys inside of it, and only the Zanesville Fire Department will have the keys to your establishment at 2 o'clock in the morning if something is going wrong, if smoke is being seen. That way we don't have to damage a $1,200 front door or make entry another way. So again, folks out there, be safe. Thank you for the opportunity to speak before Safety Council.
Yeah, so Doug, just so you know, you got a standing ovation.
Oh, yes, yes.
And that was a very good job. A lot of great information. I do also want to share, if you are in the city of Zanesville and you have not updated your contact information, call the fire department, police department at 740-450-0700 and update your records. What this means is if you've been through 2 or 3 managers and you haven't called in to update, if there's a situation at your building, they're going to be calling the number that they have. Numerous of these calls that happen, Doug can attest to this, and the police as well, is they're calling somebody that's no longer employed. They changed phones, whatever the situation. So take some time. Make sure you're updated with the fire department, police department. Again, you'd be calling the switchboard or the command center at 740-450-740-0700. Last time. We'll put that in the chat as well. Upcoming meetings. Next month, we'll have Caleb from the Ohio BWC talking about job safety analysis. And then in October, we'll have construction site safety with Alex McCann from Shelley and Sands. BWC webinars, you've been getting an additional email from Lydia. And as we receive information of the new webinars that are available from the BWC, we're pushing those out to you same day. So you can get that information and watch those videos. COVID in the workplace. Please be cautious. Social distancing, disinfectant, mask, it's all important. Somebody doesn't want to wear a mask, they've got a health reason. There's other alternatives. They can wear the plastic shield if they need to versus the cloth mask. But be cautious and let's get through this situation as quickly as possible. Kudos to the businesses that are adhering. Doug and I serve on the Unified Command Committee. Matt Abbott and myself are business liaisons, and the calls and complaints have dropped very, very far. So thank you to all the businesses that are making adjustments and doing the best that they can. Our business partner for COVID-19 is Genesis. And at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Josh Jones to talk about this partnership.
Thank you, Dana. This is Josh Jones, and we want to thank the Chamber for allowing us to present this program once again to the Safety Council. We feel that this program is a benefit to our local employers and surrounding counties for help control COVID in the workplace if it would happen to present to the workplace. So Dana, I'm going to try to share my screen here, if that's okay. And I've got a reduced version or a condensed version of this. But I can.
Josh, we'll get you switched over to a host.
Okay, thanks. All right.
Bear with me, Josh. We're good.
Nope. I think we're good, Dana.
It's coming. Got it.
All right. Let's see here. Make sure that I am on the same page as you all here. Are you looking at the Genesis Employer Solutions page?
Yes, we are.
Okay. All right. So with this program, again, most of you may have seen this program before. But basically, we have put this program together to help and assist with our local employers if COVID would present to the workplace. We work in partnership with our health department and, to help control and track exposed employees if there was an exposure that has been identified. So briefly, this program includes a free screening for symptomatic employees. It includes a free tracking service for COVID-19 and exposed employees, and a free return to work assessment. I know a lot of employers require that return to work slip. This makes it streamlined and very easy. So when the time is right for the employee to return to work, we will provide that return to work assessment and return to work note. So again, we feel that this program, and our partnership will strengthen our efforts to care for symptomatic employees. We want to help reduce workplace exposures and establish a safe return to work environment for the workforce and the community. So what have we been doing? I mean, since March, we've been tracking and controlling COVID in our workplace. We've been monitoring over 3,800 employees and taking care of our own employees and keeping them safe, keeping our patients safe, and doing our best to keep COVID out of the hospital setting and our clinics. So again, this, with this program that we have rolled out, we currently have over 32 local employers. We've recently rolled this program out to our local schools to include their staff and students. So we have, the numbers have increased. Schools love the program. They put it into their plan. So we are happy that we were able to offer this to our schools. And again, this program is still open. We're not putting a deadline on when you can enroll. So if you are interested, please contact me and we can get you signed up and get you enrolled into this program. And again, it is a free program. I like to say that if you don't need it, fantastic. But if it would happen to present to in your workplace, we're here to help out. Again, this program is, it provides that employee health assessment and screenings prior to the shift. It provides a clear path to care for COVID-19 symptoms through our telemedicine line. It's a tracking service for positive and symptomatic employees. And also for those who have been identified in an exposure, we would take over working with the health department, tracking those exposed employees, those asymptomatic exposed employees, and tracking their symptoms or lack thereof. We do have a system that we keep, and we would provide the employer with the off work date and a return to work date. That way there's transparency in regards to when the employee is off work and the expectation of when they can return to work. So since we actually enrolled this program or rolled this program out, the CDC has actually come up with more symptoms of COVID-19. And as you can see here, I put those on this slide. Fever, chills, cough, shortness of breath, difficulty breathing, fatigue, muscle or body aches, headache, loss of taste or smell, sore throat, congestion or runny nose, nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea. So again, symptoms range from mild to severe. This is the main reason that we put this program into place. I mean, these symptoms cover a lot of diagnosis, a lot of other conditions. That's why we wanted to make sure that we have 2 providers now that are covering this line, and they will do a full assessment, a full history, and make a determination whether or not they feel this is COVID related or not. If it is COVID related or they feel it's COVID related, then we will send them off for testing. If it is not COVID related, then we'll send them off to their PCP for further evaluation. So what do you do if an employee presents to the workplace with COVID-19 symptoms under this program? So the first step is we would ask that you immediately and instruct them to contact Occupational Employee Health. We would ask that they leave the premises immediately, contact Occupational Employee Health. Actually, this is our employer services COVID line. It's all telemedicine. We would ask that you call the employer, the designated representative, call Occupational Employee Health and this COVID line to advise that the employee has been sent home with COVID-like symptoms and provide a valid phone number for an employee. The reason we do that is we want to make sure that if you all send an employee home and they are instructed to call us in this program, we want to make sure that we are bridging those gaps to make sure that that employee is not missed, or if that employee does not call, that we are notified and work with the employer to make sure that we bridge those gaps to make sure care is sought. So the third step, Genesis Occupational Employee Health will schedule a telephone screening appointment to determine the direction of care. And I've just discussed that, whether or not it's COVID related or whether they feel it's a different diagnosis that they need to be evaluated for. So what happens if we send the person off and we feel that the person needs to be tested for COVID-19? If the results are negative, this is the easy button. The employee will be notified and sent back to work. We'll provide that return to work note. We contact the employee and indicate, great news, you're COVID negative. We provide them that return to work slip. And then we also provide notification via email to the employer designated representative and letting them know that this employee has been released to return to work. We don't share any kind of personal health information. We only provide off work and return to work dates to the employer. But with that being said, in this program, the employee will have a return to work slip. If an employee tests positive for COVID-19, the following actions will take place. So we will report positive results to the local health department just to make sure that they receive those. The local health department will reach out to the employer and provide the employee and provide further instruction and direction. Because it's a positive case, the health department takes over at that point. The health department will then identify potentially exposed individuals. They will work with the employer to identify those individuals. And then we will work with both the health department and the employer to track who, if anyone, is exposed during this the positive case. If there are identifications of employees who have been exposed, we keep a running database, and we track those individuals on a 14-day. If they are quarantined for 14 days, we track those individuals for 14 days. We provide you a return to work date of those individuals, so there's no questions. That's for schools that we presented, but this other one is just letting you know that we are here for you. Again, we have over 32 local employers that we are contracted with, or have an agreement with. We have 11 schools in our surrounding and Muskingum County area. And I think we are up to, I'm not sure how many we're tracking. I think something around 10,000 employees, and we're even more so with students and employees in the school systems. So again, you can contact me to sign up for this program. There's no deadline, but we are asking that, if you do want to partner with us, please do. My information will be on the next page. There's our occupational employee health number as well, which has been combined into the employer services line. After hours assistance, we provide that information. You can call the 450-3350 to leave the following information. In this program, if somebody would happen to test positive, or not test positive, but have symptoms. So there are options for those off hours. We work very closely with my other clinic, which is First Care, and they are open until 8 p.m. They are open 7 days a week. So we do work very, very closely with them with these situations. We do have a Northside Pharmacy's thermometer program. So if you are needing thermometers for your workplace, or you need to replace some, please contact me and we can make sure that Northside is aware and we can get you those thermometers. So again, just in closing, thank you for the opportunity to present this. There's my phone number right there. If you are interested, you can call that phone number. We'll get the information out to you, answer any other additional questions that you may have, and get you all enrolled. So again, I encourage you to sign up. It's a free program, free assessment, free return to work. We try to take the guesswork and all the questions out of it. So we like to be transparent and make sure that everybody's on the same page and keeping our community safe. So with that, Dana, thank you so much, and I will turn it back over to you.
Josh, thank you very much. We appreciate that. For some of you on this presentation, this is a reminder to you. Again, the link is on the presentation that will be emailed to everyone this as soon as the meeting is over. I do want to make a point, if you're one of those folks that attend Safety Council that gets to do multiple things, if you're involved in HR and you've not updated your HR employee manual for COVID, I definitely encourage you to. And this program that Josh just spoke about has some very good resources for you. So appreciate that. Josh, if you'll just turn your share off, appreciate that. Perfect timing. Thank you very much. We did have a question in the chat, and I'm going to pull it up so Assistant Chief Hobson can see it, and I'm going to turn it back over to him.
Oh, it went away. Okay, the question was, are flammable cabinets required to be grounded and bonded? Great question, thank you. Whoever turned that in, all we see is a phone number. That is a great suggestion, yes. It's not something that we always look for. One thing that we do look for in the newer cabinets is making sure that the self-closure works on them. You grab a product out, the doors automatically close behind you. One other thing that was brought up is dividers during the COVID-19 pandemic that we're in. Keep in mind, folks, that the ceiling tiles above you are part of a fire-rated system. When we go into any of our city schools, you cannot hang anything from these ceilings. So that is the same thing. I know a lot of people are looking for different ways to get more people in their restaurants, into the booths. And if from the ground up is fine, but not from the ceiling down. So we have seen many times where people are putting shower curtains. And matter of fact, I just slipped away while Dana was on here and talked to the state fire marshal. And yes, shower curtains hanging from the ceiling down are not acceptable. So we cannot hang anything from our fire rated ceilings. Decorations, little fishy floating in the sky, but keep things off of the fire rated ceiling. So again, thank you. And thank you for the question.
Thanks again, Doug. We appreciate that, and appreciate everything that you and your fellow firemen do. We've got National Fire Safety Week coming up. We wanted to make sure we got you out in front of Safety Council to speak to them. And last but not least, now more than ever, we need to support each other. This hashtag Be Local is a campaign that the Chamber put in place last year, and it was very timely. You've seen this on billboards. Hashtag Be Local, Eat Local, Think Local, Buy Local. Let's support each other, help each other as much as we can. And I do not see any more questions in the chat. So with that, we will adjourn the meeting. And thank you very much for being part of this. 52 people to today's meeting. So thank you very much, and be safe out there.